professional wrestling, Calgary, Alberta, Canada. This is Wrestling is for Losers, a podcast that's not fake, it's predetermined.
What's up, losers? Well, I turned that down too fast, but we're going to keep going. It's me, Shoeboots. Welcome to the show. Tonight we are talking about the American Nightmare, the grandson of a plumber, Cody Rhodes. We're going to be reviewing the new Cody Rhodes documentary and also talking about his career. Maybe we'll be filling in some gaps for Coltrane. Maybe Tex will be filling in some gaps for me. But I'm really looking forward to this discussion. It's going to be our first time kind of zeroing in on an individual wrestler for our discussion. So maybe even some fantasy booking. Plus, I was at Smackdown this week in Calgary, Alberta. So I've got a lot to say about that, having been to both an AEW and a WWE show live this year. But before I get to that, let's meet our co-hosts. First, he was caught off guard when he asked to be first, but we're going to try it one more time. It is our WWE shill, Texas Crazy Horse.
Hello. Nice to meet you guys. That's it.
Excuse me while I put the roof back on my house.
Whoa! Right. My goodness, Tex. The energy is flowing. My gosh.
I worked hard on that one. That one took like 2 weeks to prepare for.
At least. Yes.
Man.
I don't know, Boots. We might have to switch the order back.
Yeah, I think we might switch the order back. This isn't going well.
That's right.
All right, well, let's finish what we started. He's off our other co-host. You know him, you love him, or hate him, but you can't stop thinking about him. He hasn't watched wrestling in 30 years, and now he watches it for 30 hours a day. It's Coltrane, everybody.
Yes, 30 years. 30 years. These eyes have seen the titans of the turnbuckles making moose milk on the mat of madness. You see, these raging rhinos are rocking and rolling ringside while their retinas burn radish red. See, these people, these picturesque people of power presenting pectoral perfection, inviting you to a puberty packed party of pain, pizzazz, and prima donnas. Hello, this is wrestling. My name is Coltrane, and I am all in.
Oh,
yes. All in.
Now, personally, the fans should vote which one they like better.
Right.
I have a feeling I'm going to win it.
It's going to be Tex. It's going to be Tex. It's going to be Tex.
Clearly.
I feel like that's not going to happen.
Right.
It's funny you mention All In. This isn't in our news segment, but I was just noticing this crossing my screen during the intro. But WrestleTix is reporting that All In has now surpassed the $80,000 mark of ticket sales. Remember last week we were saying that they were implying that it might be done, but now it's confirmed. They have sold 80,056 tickets as of 2 hours ago. So
this is for the AEW in London, right?
Yeah. And it says here the next record that they're chasing is WWE's what we believe is WWE's all-time highest attendance record. Or is it one of them? I'm not sure if that's all-time, but it says the next record they're chasing is 80,709 set at WrestleMania 32 in Texas.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Well, we can still chat room. 30K a piece. All right.
Yeah.
30K a piece, 90K. That's it. 30K a piece. And the three of us can add to those ticket sales. All right. Just $30,000. That's it. That's all you have to donate.
Just a little 30,000.
That's no big deal. I mean, come on. Right.
We'll take Canadian.
We'll even take Canadian. Right. Now that's a steal. Or it could be the other way around. I'm not sure the conversion. But regardless, we're going, boys. We're going.
All right. Well, I would love to go. I'm already seeing some, people talking on their socials about their plans to go, and I'm feeling really jealous very FOMO-y, but
Yeah.
it's a bummer.
It's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah. So I am very excited about that, but I'm also excited to talk about wrestling this week because, well, I didn't see Collision yet from last night, but I watched pretty much everything else. Of course, TSN, who I've talked about before on this show, the Canadian distributor of AEW, has gotten even worse.
What?
I can no longer watch TSN. I can no longer watch AEW simply by signing into TSN with my mom's cable account.
Oh boy. Oh jeez. Boots. Oh my gosh. Boots.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, just it used to be that if you have cable TSN, you can then watch their stuff on demand, and it was garbage, but you could kind of. And now you can't even do that. Now they just want money on top of having their channel. So
Right.
I will. If anyone in the UK listens to this, I'd love to hear more about how it works over there because I'm getting a VPN. That's all I'm going to say.
Right. Right. I don't think you're supposed to admit that publicly. Like, I think that's supposed to be like top secret. You don't
Right.
talk about a VPN.
Well,
you know what I mean? You don't do that.
I've noticed that Norton VPN puts advertising on a lot of podcasts, so it was kind of a reach out to them. And
That's right.
and I was
use our affiliate link.
I was careful only to imply my intentions, not state them.
True.
So,
True.
all right. Okay. Well, I don't know where to start here. Do you guys have any? I want to talk about SmackDown, but before I do, what else? Anything stick out to you guys this week? I felt like All In is starting to build up. We've got several matches for it. Not a major no, there was a lot of speculation the last few months that All In was going to have some oh my God, there's no way I can miss that match. And so far it doesn't quite feel that way, although good matches, but yeah, there's that.
Yeah. Well, I would say for me, the oh my God, I can't miss this was kicking in big time. It was huge. The most epic show I have ever seen has returned. And that is obviously the new season of Big Brother. It's back. It's back. Julie Chen Moonves is back. The new season and cast of Big Brother is here, and it's going to be insane. It's going to be insane. Somebody was already kicked off already. You mean wrestling? Oh, you want to know about wrestling?
Wait a second.
What I was watching on wrestling?
Yes. Did Julie Chen marry Les Moonves?
Yes. No, there was this whole thing. Julie Chen, well, I think so. Well, Julie Chen's husband got into this big scandal years ago. And she used to go by Julie Chen forever.
I remember.
And then to defend her husband, she changed her public name to Julie Chen Moonves. So she says it on every episode now to defend her husband. It was about he had a lot of sexual assault allegations and harassment
that's her way of saying
and stuff
she's
like that.
Standing by him by adopting his name.
Yes, she even changed her X handle, not Twitter, her X handle to JC Moonves or something. So yeah, so now she's Julie Chen Moonves to support her husband. Right.
All right.
So yeah, but it's the same Julie. It's the same Julie. It's fantastic. So very excited about. Oh, you mean wrestling? I'm just kidding. Yes. So it was excellent. New season started. Very excited. It's a guilty pleasure. Look. You're gonna throw to me, all right? We're talking Temptation Island. We're talking Below Deck Sailing Yacht. We're talking Big Brother. These are guilty pleasures, folks. All right. This is stuff you don't talk about in public like I'm doing right now.
You know, before I met you, I was wondering how these shows stay on the air.
Yes.
But now they're.
Now you know.
Yeah.
Listen, everyone's got a guilty pleasure show that, again, they don't talk about in public. I'm just putting it out there. I'm shining a light on it.
All right. Okay.
Fantastic.
So there's only one thing I have to say to that. Shush, please.
Oh,
Our boy Chad Gable.
Chad Gable.
That's MVP of the week.
There
Lock it.
Lock it.
Lock it up.
I enjoyed. I'm starting to lose track. I think it was this week. MJF and Adam Cole. The bromance continues. They went to the trampoline park, and
come on, you're joking.
I'm not joking. They went to the trampoline park together, and they were jumping up and down. And MJF was not having a good time. He thought it was lame because he wanted to go get laid. That's what he wanted to do. But instead they did what Adam Cole wanted to do, which was go to the trampoline park. And then at one point they said, they have trampoline dodgeball here. And then MJF got excited. And they did this segment of him whipping balls at these children, knocking them out. Like, what? In slow motion.
Oh, my God. That's amazing.
And also, I think this was from last week's Collision, but I hadn't seen it when we had recorded. But Christian Cage did an awesome promo with his daughter. He's got like an 8-year-old daughter. Huh. And he's sitting there with the TNT Championship and Luchasaurus behind him. He's talking about how it's his belt. And he's holding his daughter in the most awkward way. He's like got his hand like on her, like he's just like holding her. And she's sitting the whole time like this, like she looks like scared. Like that she and he's talking and he's giving his promo. And then at one point she turns to him and she asks him, "Can I touch the belt?" And he's like, "What? No. You haven't earned it like me." And he's like, "Get out of here." And he like kicks the kid. And he's like, "Security, that little girl has no credentials." And he's like,
That's awesome. That's awesome. Oh, that's great. That's great. I like AEW, their promos, like everything about it. Like the in-between stuff, I always really enjoy.
Yeah. I'm obviously sold on pretty much everything they do. But yeah. All right. Well, we gotta talk about SmackDown. I will say, like, the Bloodline story just keeps going. And I was there in person, and I just want to talk about this because I've been curious about this for like a year. Like ever since I started really watching everything a lot, I've noticed like these production differences. And I was at an episode of Collision a couple months ago, maybe 1 month ago, and I was at SmackDown a couple days ago. And when they go to commercial on Collision, what happens? Well, pretty much what you think would happen. If it's a wrestling match, the match continues. Well, it's probably on picture-in-picture. But if it's commercial break and it's not a match, the announcers out there kind of riffing with the crowd a bit, making some jokes like, who's that guy? And then they come back. And that's what I do. But I was always wondering about WWE because WWE does this weird thing where like, well, here's, for example, if you watch SmackDown this week, it opens with Charlotte Flair's music hits.
Yes.
And she enters and she walks in and the fireworks go on. She gets to the ring and then it cuts to like a SummerSlam recap, right? Well, she's like entering the ring and then there might've been a commercial or something, but a few things it shows. And then it comes back, kind of like rejoins Charlotte Flair in the ring and her music's still playing and she's about ready to wrestle. And then the next entrance comes up. So I was wondering, well, how does that happen? Because sometimes they show things that are pertinent to the story. So like, how do they like show that to the people in the room, or did they like pre-tape it and show it to them earlier? Like how, like surely they're not like turning off the music while Charlotte Flair's in the ring and then and everyone's watching this coming back. So turns out that is exactly what they do. They turn off the music and the wrestler stands there like an idiot while everybody in the arena watches the screen. And then it comes back and she immediately like acts like she's been there the whole time. Like
you're kidding.
Yeah. And it happened like 4 times during the night. And it was like remarkable. Like we were all just like kind of like, wow, that's just like
taking a break, commercial break. Right. That's crazy. Because I saw that. Like she walks out, she's got the hood on, she looks amazing, she pulls it back, she raises the arms, the fireworks, and then they do the story recap.
Yeah, the song, her entrance music turns off, the lights on the arena, on the wrestling ring turn off. She's like in the dark. But
you're kidding.
It's not pitch black, you can see her, but there's no lights on the wrestling ring. And just on that big entrance screen, like what you're seeing at home is showing there, and it's the recaps, the previews for WrestleMania 40 tickets, the backstage stuff. Like there was this whole kind of backstage thing where Austin Theory attacked Santos Escobar. And it's just like, you're just kind of like, oh, okay, I guess. And then all of a sudden the segment ends and the music comes up and it's like
high energy. Right. Yeah. Right. So, right back where we were.
Yeah.
I've heard this complaint before, and there's an easy fix for that. Just play the promos first, then let them walk out.
Yeah, I thought, okay, we've got these promos. when we go to commercial, we'll just show the promo to the audience, right? Like to me, that seemed to be if there's something that like, first of all, we don't need to see a SummerSlam recap in the room. That's 2 weeks ago now.
Yeah.
Or that's 1 week ago now. I
It's
don't
1 week.
know. But like, we don't need to see it. We don't need to see, like, I think twice we saw that WrestleMania 40 tickets are going on sale. Like, we'd much rather just see the people. And I don't know.
Right.
Whatever.
That is interesting. That's a great question. I love that you saw that live. And by the way, Calgary audience, I watched a bit of the Smackdown. You guys can cheer.
Yeah,
like there was some noise there.
We're pretty wild.
Yeah.
And we're usually pretty trolly too. Like Calgary's kind of notorious for being a troll audience, and it wasn't much of that yesterday, but there was at the Collision show for sure. So maybe it's just a younger crowd at the thing. But yeah, almost sold out. I think WrestleTix reported 10,500, and I think they reported about 7,000 for Collision. So
Nice.
WWE is still the biggest game in town. I had hoped. Oh, here's the other thing. So also I was wondering, like, well, what do they do? It's a 2-hour show. Is it just a 2-hour show? So they had one dark match 15 minutes before the show went live, and it was Grayson Waller versus Cameron Grimes. So two of the newer talents. So
Nice.
It wasn't like a local tryout or anything. And then the announcers came out, and then they did the show. But they did, one of the things that they advertised locally was that the main event is that Natalya is going to challenge Rhea Ripley for her title. And I was like, well, she's on Raw. First of all, like, Ripley's on Raw. Second of all, like, you're not going to, like, Natalya, I don't even know if you're familiar with Natalya Coltrane, but she's been around on WWE for a long time. She's sort of maybe, I don't want to say she's at the end of her career because she could have years to come, but like she's kind of like, you know, on her in the later stages of her career. So
Sure.
You don't see her on TV that much anymore. But she is a member of the Hart family. So of course they're going to put her out there in the Calgary show because she's the hometown hero.
Yes.
So after they went off the air, they had they announced a double main event. So, which was weird because like we just watched Roman Reigns for a half hour, and now we're going to watch what's going to follow Roman Reigns. What would you book to follow Roman Reigns? Well, I'll tell you what WWE would book. Tag team action, the Street Profits versus the Brawling Brutes.
Yes. Wow.
You could hear a pin drop.
That's right. Exactly. I haven't even, who are the Street Profits?
Exactly. No, they're
Right.
You probably recognize. They have the red cups that they come out with, and cups drop all over. I guess
Like-
they haven't been on TV that much lately.
Red cups, like the plastic cups.
Yeah.
Yep.
And by the way, if you're wondering how those cups fall from the ceiling, they actually don't. They have two big guns on the side, just off camera, that shoot the cups upwards, and then they fall. And
Oh my gosh.
it was so
Are they
quiet.
playing beer pong?
I don't- Tex, why do they do that? I think it predates me watching. I don't quite understand the whole cups thing.
My thinking is because they're like the party animals.
Right. Okay.
Wrestle cups, and they stir it up.
Well, we had a lot of fun because we were kind of sitting close to the stage area, and we couldn't stop laughing at how like this 400 cups came flying out of nowhere, and then they go in the ring and the match starts, and we couldn't help just turn our attention to the crew of like 8 people that suddenly went in and were picking up cups.
Oh my gosh. Oh my God. For those listening, Shoeboots has a picture of just these poor people picking up all these cups.
Garbage bags.
With
So, like,
garbage bags.
well, there's a wrestling match going on.
Oh, that's unbelievable. That's great.
So then they did the final match, and it was like an awesome treat to see Rhea Ripley because she's like the best female wrestler maybe
Incredible.
working today. And then Natalya is a hometown hero, and she gave an awesome, rah-rah thing. So that was fun. But yeah, overall good show. I timed it from the moment that Roman Reigns' music hit to the moment that he spoke on the mic was 11 minutes.
Wow.
But there was several commercial breaks. And again, the lights went out. We're all in the arena. Roman Reigns is standing in the dark with Paul Heyman and Solo Sikoa. Well, there's things on the screen.
Unbelievable.
So weird.
Just waiting it out.
Yeah, just the tribal
Right.
chief. And anyways, now I know what you're all wondering. Did I acknowledge Roman Reigns?
Yes.
So he said, Calgary, acknowledge me. And I said out loud, decline.
Oh, nice. So you were the one. You were the one.
Yeah, I don't think it came through on the mics, but if you hear it, that's me.
Yes. No kidding.
Yeah.
So was he acknowledged by Calgary? What was the vibe of the crowd with Roman Reigns?
It felt like a lot of boos from where I was sitting, and I watched that bit later on TV, and it sounded more mixed. So,
Got you.
I don't know. There's definitely a lot of people that were cheering for him. A lot of people that were booing him. There was this awesome 10 or 12-year-old kid in front of us that was like just losing his absolute mind over everything, and just
That's awesome.
like so young that he just doesn't really have a grasp on reality, and it's so fun to like listen to him. Like Roman Reigns came out and he was like, turns to his dad and he's like, "Do you think he's gonna wrestle John Cena tonight?" It's like,
That's awesome.
no, he's gonna talk to us for a half hour and then leave.
Right.
Like,
That's great. And so what I wasn't able to catch SmackDown as I was watching Big Brother. But anyway, what happened with the Bloodline story? Where are we at now?
oh my god. Okay, so you might remember at SummerSlam,
Yes.
Jimmy comes in and double crosses Jay.
Yes.
So they had the tribal chief came out, Paul Heyman, Solo Sikoa, and they're, where's Jimmy? We're looking for Jimmy. And Jimmy comes out. I can't remember if Jimmy came out or Jay came out. They were all there. And Jay came out to confront them. Jimmy came out, and like Roman Reigns is talking to Jimmy, and he's like, I owe you one, man. What do you want? What do you want? You want a boat? You want a car? You want money? It's like, I owe you. You know I can make it happen. He's like, I don't want any of that. It's like, oh, you don't want anything material. You want power. I can do that too. And Jay's like, Jimmy's like, I don't want nothing from you. At that point, if you listen to the mic, you might hear me say, I would have taken the boat. But
Oh my God.
but at that point, Jey Uso comes in, and he's like, "What? Like, what is it?" And you might remember last week I said there might be a way they can explain this all to make sense, but it seems unlikely. So before I give you my reaction to his reasoning, I'm gonna just see what you think, Coltrane. He said he turned to his brother and he said, I had to do it. I couldn't let you become the tribal chief because I couldn't let you become like him.
Oh.
And
Wow, that's deep. Oh.
so I thought it was pretty dumb.
Oh, jeez. Oh man, I thought that sounds amazing. Okay, you thought it was dumb?
I did like what happened later. He did things like, I know that I betrayed you, so if you want to take me out, I'm here. Like and then I can't remember exactly how it went down, but he went like he was gonna, but then he ended up kicking Roman Reigns in the face, and
oh gosh, Reigns took another kick to the face again.
Yeah, and
Brain damage.
And then there's a moment where Jimmy was walking away, and Jay called him back. He's like, Jimmy, and like holds out his arms, and he turns around, and they're coming out like they're gonna hug it out, and then Jay kicks Jimmy in the face when he gets close enough.
Oh jeez.
And then then Jay walks over, like hops the barrier and walks up through the crowd, 8 feet away from us. Like he walked right by, not close enough that we were in the shot. Like we were just like 2 guys out of the shot on TV.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah, but he we didn't hear this at the time, but apparently he said to the camera, I'm out of the bloodline. I'm out of the WWE. That's it. And he left. And apparently on WWE.com, they've moved his profile to the alumni page.
This is Jey Uso.
Yeah.
Alumni page.
So I think it's all kayfabe. I don't think he's really
Yeah.
leaving, but it's a nice touch that they did that on the website.
Wow.
I-
All right, Tex, what do you think? What do you think, man?
So Colt thought it was cool. Shu didn't like it. I think of the options on the table of what they could have went with, that was probably the best option.
Oh,
Right.
maybe. I mean, I guess that would have been a fun challenge. Like, say we're tasked with coming up his reasoning for doing it. I don't know I'd have to sit and think about that.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
thought last week it was because he was mad that Jay had started all this, like because he opposed Roman Reigns, and that's why Jimmy's in the hospital, that kind of thing.
Yeah, like the thing that would probably make the most sense from the story they've been telling is that somehow Paul Heyman's been in his ear for the last several weeks,
Mm-hmm.
brainwashing him, kind of thing. The wise man. But-
So now I'm thinking like, man, we have 6 months for WrestleMania or something like that. I don't know where they're going. I'm lost.
It's a lot of time.
Here's my prediction: they're shelving it because they know they have a lot of time.
Here's the problem with that though, is that's the ratings.
I
bloodline.
know, but like, I watch a lot of, I watch What Culture, I watch Simon Miller,
Mhm.
I watch WrestleMania, I watch Cultaholic, like I watch all these like big wrestling YouTube shows and stuff as much as I can, and I've noticed that consistently all of them are now in the last 2 weeks or so shifting to the narrative of like, this is going on too long, and so if they're doing that, the people that listen to them are going to start doing that, and you could see the fans turn on this whole bloodline thing if it doesn't start moving. But I also, knowing that Roman Reigns is injured, we learned that last week. Maybe they're just like, let's put this on the shelf for now. And I don't know. I will tell you this: the Roman Reigns was the third loudest pop of the night when I was there. Now, one of them was to be expected because Edge came out, and Edge is like Canada's, poster child.
Right.
So and everyone kind of understood it was like a huge kind of like tip of the hat to Calgary that Edge came out. So that was a huge pop. But the biggest pop of the night, I'll let you guess.
What do you think, Tex?
Biggest pop of the night. Well, Natalia was there, right? So you're talking about like on the show though.
The answer's the same either way.
I don't know.
Hurry,
Rey
Tex,
Mysterio.
go!
Rey Mysterio.
What do you say, Colt?
I'm gonna say it was pretty deadly.
They
Well,
weren't there,
you're both
so.
wrong. It was L.A. Knight.
Oh
What?
yeah.
You're
I-
kidding!
I forgot he was on
there?
SmackDown too.
They didn't announce him at all as being on the show, and he was on Raw that week. So I know that me and my two friends that went, we had all kind of sort of reconciled and come to terms with the fact that like he's probably not going to be there, because if they was, when they list what's going to be on the show tonight, certainly they'd put LA Knight on that, and they didn't. And then they must have come back from so they did a thing. They did a commercial break, and this was pretty funny. One of the commercial breaks, you know how like during a hockey game or whatever sports you guys are into in America, they'll do they'll be like in between a play or an inning or whatever, and they'll like put the camera on people and show us your dance or whatever.
Totally.
So WWE did a thing like that during one of the commercials, like that they played the DX music and like give us your Degeneration X, and everyone was going like suck it, and there was like. It was so funny because there's like kids doing it, old people doing it. Went to this one big guy, and it came up to him, and he was just like red in the face, like going like, ooh, just
Right. That's awesome.
And then it went quiet. The commercial break was over. It was all just quiet. We're like, oh, that was funny. And then all of a sudden, the like L.A. burn. I was like, ah!
And everybody went crazy.
Yeah.
I forgot that he was on SmackDown because he was on Raw.
He had a very short match on SmackDown. Like it's like
Wow.
2-minute squash match, really.
Before we move on, can we talk about the title match?
Oh, scheduled to be Escobar in theory, turning to
Yes.
Mysterio in theory. Yes.
Yes. What do you think happened there?
So let's just catch Coltrane up first of all. So
Please.
Santos Escobar had won the
Yes.
opportunity to face. So early on in the night, backstage, the LWO is hanging out, and they're like, and Santos Escobar is like getting an interview, like how are we playing? And Austin Theory runs in and smashes his leg, and he's like,
Yes.
and they kept cutting back to his leg over the course, like a few times backstage that. And then at one point, it's time for the match. And Adam Pearce is like, technically you're clear to wrestle, but I don't think this is a good idea. And he's like, I'm going to do it. So he comes limping out. And before he even gets to the ring, Austin Theory runs out from the side and just whacks him in the leg again. And he can't even stand. So so the LW comes out to 10 to him, and then Austin Theory grabs the mic. He's like, well, I wanted to give you guys a great match, but it looks like Santos can't even stand. So start the bell and count him out, ref. And Adam Pearce comes out, and he's like, oh, no. We promised the people of Calgary a United States title match, and they're going to get one. It's going to be Austin Theory versus Rey Mysterio right now. And Rey Mysterio goes in the ring and fights him. And long story short, actually not that long story, it was like an 8-minute match. Your new United States champion, Rey Mysterio.
No way. Whoa. That's huge.
Yeah.
Oh.
So the belt is off Theory, which I think is like, no matter what I think of the rest of it, that is great. I want the belt off Theory. It's time to repackage Theory, and it's time to do different things with that belt. I
agree.
My first reaction was I felt bad for Santos Escobar. I hope he knew from the start that this was the plan. I hope he didn't show up in Calgary this morning thinking he was going to become United States champion or something like that. So I felt bad for him. But what do I think happened was your question? I think that Rey Mysterio was supposed to win the other match that he got injured in, and they had to give it to Santos Escobar.
That's what I
Remember
think.
He hurt his head and they had to give it to Santos?
Yes.
That's my guess. That's my best guess.
I agree. The only problem is I don't think Rey winning that title does anything for the title.
Totally agree. I don't agree with the booking at all. Rey doesn't need that title. There's so many other wrestlers that would benefit greatly from that title. Santos Escobar is just one of them.
Do you know who needs that title?
Yeah, LA Knight.
There you go.
I turned we had kind of like a fun kind of group in our section. Like we were kind of chatting with people in front of us, the people behind us.
Nice.
And we were like, and when they said like Santos can't wrestle, I said to people in groups like, this is how LA Knight gets it. Like this, like Adam Pearce, like it was almost kind of people were excited, but I was when he said you're gonna wrestle, we kind of knew it was gonna be Rey Mysterio because he was right there, like taking his clothes
ready.
Yeah, like ring ready. But it was like that was the moment that you could have had LA Knight walk in and say like, nah, LA Knight, I'm the super, like he could have talked his way into that match. That would have been the better choice if you're going to not give it to Santos. The way better choice is to not have this tournament building to Santos getting the title shot only for him not to get it because of a lame injury, but just like set up the story so whoever you actually want to get this belt actually is scheduled to fight him. That's what I would have done.
Now, is there a scenario where this is just for the storyline? So they kick out Rey, and then you have the Escobar Rey Mysterio feud.
So that's a possibility, right? Like Escobar could be jealous, and there could be a rift between the two of them, and they could fight for the title, or they could also do it like handshake. We're gonna have a good sportsman-like match for it. Maybe there's the other possibility, and this is the one way that I actually agree with putting it on Rey Mysterio. Excuse me. If there's another heel that they want to put the belt on and they need a transitional babyface, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt Rey Mysterio, but it would seriously hurt Santos.
But what's a heel?
I can't think
Smackdown?
of one. I can't think of one.
Pretty deadly.
Solo?
They're hurt, son.
Oh, that's right. Pretty deadly. Exactly. That wouldn't
They're pretty dead right now. So
right. That's my default answer. You were asking how are they going to do ratings without the bloodline? Pretty deadly.
Did you just say Solo?
Yeah, Solo. That's the only heel I could think of that I would from their roster that's
no,
regularly
it's gonna happen.
on.
I mean, he would destroy people, which would do like Gunther did for the Intercontinental Champion.
I think Solo is at a point in his career where he deserves a belt. Sure. He's been, and especially if his whole job is that he's Roman's lackey and Roman's going to be away for a while, he's going to need something else, right?
I don't hate it.
I like Solo.
Yeah. All right. So that was SmackDown. Super fun. It was also really fun. Like I enjoyed going to Collision with my wife, but my wife's not a wrestling fan. So it was like an awesome thing to do with my wife. But this one I went with the boys, this was a good old time. And I went with my one friend who, 20, like in the 90s, we used to go to wrestling shows together. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I've got I don't have it here, but I'll pull out my old tickets sometimes. We were front row for Raw in Vancouver when when Too Cool won the tag team championships.
That's awesome. Old school.
Yeah. All right. Well, some quick news, because there's not much news this week, and then we're going to get into our discussion. Really quick news on WWE. It's not that big a deal, but TKO is going to be the new name of the company of UFC and WWE merged together. And their merger is expected to be complete in September, and they have announced their board of directors, which some whispers. Triple H is not going to be included. He is currently on the WWE board of directors. He's not going to be on the new board of directors, which is, of course, spawning all sorts of speculation that Vince hates him or something. But
because maybe Triple H is going against Vince on some of the WWE decisions?
Yeah, he did. We do know that he voted to not let Vince come back because they unanimously voted not to let him come back. And then they unanimously, I believe, voted to bring him back once he threatened to vote against everything.
Oh, jeez. Right.
And
Okay.
All right. His wife, Stephanie McMahon, Vince's daughter, quit the company the day Vince returned. So,
jeez.
So there's a lot of drama there.
Right. Maybe
and she didn't
one
just
or
quit
two
like
things.
from her ceremonial job. She quit her job of co-CEO of the company.
Wow.
The day Vince returned. So.
Oof.
Layoffs are expected, as with any merger, but it's unclear if that means the talent or if it's going to just be staffing. Like obviously, the downside whenever these big companies merger, one of the downsides is that you now have 2 payroll departments and you now have 2 advertise those.
Sure.
They're probably just going to fire a lot of people to just have one department, but we'll see.
What does TKO stand for, by the way?
Doesn't it mean technical knockout? Isn't that what that stands for?
In UFC,
normally.
yes. MMA, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so the name of the company is actually Technical Knockout is what it is.
They're going to be called TKO.
Okay.
I
just wondered like WWE is World Wrestling Entertainment. Right. I don't know if TKO if it meant something different.
I don't know if like their actual legal name is going to be Technical Knockout. So far, it looks like all they've said is TKO. So
gotcha. Very cool.
Just as long as it's not Endeavor, that name sucks.
I don't know if Triple H's not being on there is a big deal.
I don't know either. It could just be that there wasn't room for him. But
I did hear he's still head of creative, and
yeah, I think
his role doesn't change at all. So
I think for the foreseeable future, he's doing like 80% of the creative, and then just dealing with Vince calling in stuff that he has to do.
Right.
Yeah. So little AW, other than the All In news, the only thing that I'm going to mention it because I'm hoping that it's nothing, but oh my God, CM Punk is back in the news causing rifts.
Oh dear.
Last night on Collision after it went off the air, but of course people recorded on their phones and it's all over the internet. Somebody had a sign that said, they're in Georgia, and someone had a sign that said Georgia is hangman country. And we know that CM Punk and Hangman Adam Page do not get along, and they hate each other's guts. And Hangman's one of the elite, and CM Punk saw the sign and decided to go off and say that Hangman. He said something along the lines of, "I went to the local grocery store, and I saw all of Hangman's toys on the shelf because no one's buying them." That's why he's called the Hangman, because his toys are hanging on the pegs.
Oh my God!
He's like Hangman's a peg warmer, which when I first read that he called Hangman a peg warmer, I was relieved to find out he was talking about toys because my mind went a totally different direction. With
100%. Yes, out of context. Yeah, a little rough around the edges there. Yeah.
So. Well, hopefully it's nothing, but God, Punk, we're trying to mend the rift so we can have the elite versus,
But he was the one that wanted the match, right? Not them. So maybe he's just trying to grease the wheels a little bit.
Yeah, doesn't this hype it up? Isn't this a good thing?
That's what he's doing. He's just greasing the wheels.
It's good as long as Hangman's not getting mad about it, because Punk really said some bad stuff about him when he was absent and unable to defend himself. And it's a huge problem for them. And it happened again.
Well, that's on Hangman. All right. He needs to not be a peg warmer. He needs to show up every night. He needs to be at Collision every night. That's right.
Fault.
Sell more toys.
Or he needs to embrace it as his new nickname, Peg Warmer Adam Page.
Ladies and gentlemen, peg warmer Adam Page. Right. Doesn't quite roll off the tongue just yet. But
okay. And last little bit, this is actually both WWE and AEW news. Rhea Ripley and Buddy Matthews have announced that they are engaged.
Woo!
I wonder how hard that is, being in AEW and WWE, like trying to find time to be with each other.
Yeah,
it must be a pain.
All I know is that Buddy Matthews, who is one of the House of Black, this huge behemoth of a human, and Rhea Ripley, one of the most built women on earth, their children are going to destroy the planet.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right.
Yes.
They will produce General Zod. Literally. They will look like the bad guys from Superman 2 or the new Man of Steel or whatever. Absolutely. General Zod will come from the two of them. And I will say, Rhea Ripley, like I said, on my YouTube recommends, I'm seeing all these behind the scenes with Rhea Ripley. I'm seeing the Celtic Warrior workouts with Sheamus.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been amazing seeing them in real life and how amazingly awesome they are, that it really is a character, that Rhea's playing. She's super sweet, super nice. Like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. And same with Sheamus. I got to admit, I feel bad. Sheamus, he's a great guy. He seems amazing. Yeah. And here I am. Who am I? I'm talking trash about Sheamus. Seems like a great guy. He's playing a character. So I feel guilty immediately. So Sheamus, I apologize. You're amazing. Keep up the incredible work. I apologize for anything negative I ever said about you. You're incredible. So I feel bad about you.
I would love it if that message got to Sheamus.
Yes, I'm sure it will immediately.
Yeah.
Oh, in fact, I just got a text from Sheamus. He said, thanks. All right, great. Fantastic. All right, good. I'm glad he got it.
I hope he chops you just one time.
One chop. One chop. I don't think I can take a Sheamus chop.
1, 2. All right. Well, good for them.
Congratulations.
And yeah. All right. Well, we're going to jump to our discussion this week. And you'll notice in the show notes that I specifically left it empty, all my notes, because I started actually typing some stuff. And then I was like, you know what? Let's just freeform this. And if it's a bust, it's a bust, and we'll know better for next time. But I'd really be interested to see what you guys thought about this. And I have some thoughts about it. We are, of course, talking about Cody Rhodes, but we're talking it in the context of the documentary of Cody Rhodes, American Nightmare Becoming Cody Rhodes, I believe is the actual title of the doc. And this is available on Peacock, and I thought it'd be available on WWE Network in Canada. I could not find it. I searched up for it. I am not going to go into detail of everything I had to go to just to watch this, but oh my God, I was able to see it, thankfully, but it was, oh man, you Americans don't know how good you have it. I'm getting a VPN. All right. So the only note that I've left, if you look at your show notes, and this is, no one at home can see this, is if you look a few lines down, there's a letter V that I typed there. Do you see it?
I do.
Ask me at the end what the V is for, and we'll wrap this all up nicely.
Oh, no, don't do it. I know what it's about. I won't say it, but I know what it's about.
I don't know. Somebody once told me never ask Shoeboots about the V. Like, never do that. Never ask Boots about the V.
I know what he's going to say. It's going to piss me off so much.
All right, well, let's just move on. And I know that this is new to all of us, but again, I'm most excited to hear what Coltrane had to say, because I feel like I know a lot about the second half of Cody Rhodes' career and very little about the first half. So it was really cool to get that fill in. But Coltrane, you're the new guy to all this. So what's your? I guess you could we can critique the documentary itself, but I think we're more interested in just talking about Cody Rhodes, right?
Yeah, man. It was an unbelievable, honestly, it was an incredible experience watching this documentary about Cody Rhodes, because I came in fresh with Cody Rhodes. 2-3 months we started this show, and I knew him as the American Nightmare. I knew him as Cody Rhodes. He would come out, the crowd went nuts. He would do his thing, the you know, everything's great. And I said to you guys at the beginning, all right, this guy's a star. Like, he's got it. You know, in Texas, like, Cody Rhodes is amazing. You were like, Cody Rhodes is amazing. Like, but I knew, seeing him now, this guy's an absolute star. He's got it. But now, knowing the backstory, knowing his journey, his struggles, and what he went through, I went from liking Cody Rhodes to loving Cody Rhodes. It put him on a whole nother level for me, on so many different layers, on the amount of work that he put in to become Cody Rhodes, to no longer be Stardust. Mm-hmm. I didn't really know about this whole Stardust thing. You guys had kind of mentioned it, you know, here and there. And I think I'm realizing that I'm a visual learner.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm one of those. Like, I need to see it, and then I'm a visual learner.
It's definitely a character you won't forget once you see the Stardust.
Absolutely.
Character.
Yes. And it's amazing, like they said, the level of commitment that he did, and the struggle that he was dealing with playing Stardust. He knew that he had so much more potential inside of him, and WWE wasn't giving him that shot. To have to start out being in the shadow of your father, the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, a wrestler that I knew, that I recognized, that I remember, you know, from my day. And this was his son. And to step out of that shadow, he even talked about how his dad had the blonde hair, and that he went with the dark hair to kind of help separate himself, you know, as Cody Rhodes. And unbelievable journey. And so I gotta say too, seeing other wrestlers as well, seeing them being younger, seeing Roman Reigns being younger, seeing Seth friggin' Rollins, the amount of work that Seth Rollins has put in, you know, after all these years. Because again, I'm seeing Seth freaking Rollins now. Who's this guy wearing these crazy outfits? The crowd's cheering. He's got the big glasses and all that. But seeing the history of him, just being in the backstory of all of this, what it became for me was, it wasn't about WW entertainment. It was about the WWE universe. And I had so much more respect for the wrestlers in general, of their journey, and they are literally legends. These are things that they've built over years and years and years. And I'm going to throw it to you guys, and then I have so much more to say about this documentary. But I was floored about the Stardust thing and about his going away. Well, oh my God, I have so much to get into. I'm just so excited. So first initial impression, absolutely blown away. You guys go, and then I got way more to say. I'm just freaking out over here.
Okay, Tex.
I've said it before, and I'll say it until I'm blue in the face. No one does a documentary as good as the WWE. All the footage they give you, all the insights, it's amazing. Cody is so inspirational throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it make some of the struggle he goes through, it's like, I had a struggle like that, or I have a struggle like that. And seeing the way he just put his head down and just focus on himself. Like I said, inspirational. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think, I mean, for me, I don't know if I have the same view of like WWE documentaries in general. I find that in many cases they're kind of like propagandish about WWE, but I thought this one did a really good job of like, this is the only time that I can think of that any piece of WWE programming has ever mentioned AEW by name.
Yeah.
Right? Like, but how do you tell this story without talking about AEW? And like, it really, I thought it did a really good job of like celebrating the parts of Cody Rhodes that he did without WWE. And I gotta say that, like, I wasn't expecting that. And so that was really cool. But I also just really enjoyed this like juxtaposition of like, I know the story. The story is that his dad never got the title, and he wants to get the title that his dad never got. But to actually like see him talk about, like, I didn't know there was a moment where Dusty held the belt acting like he thought he won it, but he actually didn't. And I didn't know that picture is like on his mantle, you know, like,
right.
Like, so, and I get that, like, yes, this is sports entertainment. I'm sure there's some embellishment going on here, but it's being packaged up pretty nicely and I'm buying it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you're right. It was kind of there were some knocks on WWE. He was straight up like, I don't want to do this. This is not who I want to be. I've got more. And they were like, nope. Like, this is it for you. You're going to be Stardust and you're going to be this character. And then he was like, I was just like, well, I'm going to quit. Like, I'm going to quit. And he quit, and what blew me away, and this was so funny, is I was watching it actually with my wife, and she was watching it with me. And all of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh, he's there with the Elite. What's he doing with the Elite? That's the Elite. I had no idea that Cody Rhodes was with the Elite. I was like, oh, like he's friends with the Elite. Then
he was a member of the Elite. Yeah.
See, I had no idea. Yeah. I had no idea. And then he made that list of all the people that he wanted to wrestle. And at the top of that list was Adam Cole. Adam Cole. I saw that name on there. I was like, oh my God, Adam Cole. And then he talks about how he started an independent wrestling. They called it All In. Yeah. Where they wanted to sell 10,000 tickets. And it was all independent wrestling.
Yeah. One independent show called All In. And we're going to self-promote it. And it's going to be the biggest independent show. And which was unheard of. And everyone was probably like, what are you talking about? Like, WWE is the king. Are you out of your mind to do this? But he had done this independent wrestling. He put in the work. I mean, if you look at some of those venues he was at, I mean, it looked like a kid's birthday party that he was wrestling at. You know what I mean? I mean, that is grinding it out. You know what I mean? That is grinding it out and putting in the work. And then they sell these tickets. It sells like crazy. And I personally had no idea that he was one of the founding members of All Elite Wrestling. Yeah. He was the creator of it. Him and his wife. Like, you had mentioned that he was in AEW. You guys had talked about it. And then he, left. And then he went to WWE and became this massive star. But I had no idea, because it was like, oh, and then we started All Elite Wrestling. And I was like, wait, what? Like, I could not believe what I was watching. Yeah. Yeah. No, he was. Yeah. Like, and I mean, it also is like interesting, like that's why it's so poignant or whatever that they decided to call this Wembley show All In. That this is
right.
Like it's because I think the actual name All In is owned by Ring of Honor, because I think Ring of Honor was the main promoter of All In. They didn't really discuss that in the documentary, but this is my understanding. And that when Tony Khan bought the rights. When he bought Ring of Honor, he now had the rights to the name All In. So he wanted to make this Wembley show All In. And,
amazing.
Amazing.
Another thing that I loved was they talked about the Forbidden Door.
Oh, yeah. I kept showing it.
Yes. And the reason for the name of it, like if you go outside of WWE, if you enter in these other leagues, that's a Forbidden Door. Like, you go out, you're not coming back in.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think, too. He gave up hundreds of thousands of dollars to go wrestle for $50, $25 at a local spot. That takes some guts, man. I don't know a lot of people that could do that.
Yeah.
And credit to his wife as well. I thought she was incredible in the documentary, incredibly smart, supportive, amazing, because that must have been tough on her as well. Yeah. Especially when they had a kid. Can you imagine that? Like, hey, I've got a 6-figure income that I'm going to give up to go, like you said, wrestle for $25 or $50. Is that cool? Like, what do you think?
And his dad was famous. His dad was famous, but he wasn't coming for money, right? Like, his dad was having trouble making ends meet. Like, it wasn't like there was a huge nest egg waiting for him. There's no reason to think he had financial security when he made that choice,
Yeah. Yeah. And there was even that commercial where they said, here's my dad doing a truck commercial. And it wasn't that he was getting paid to do it. He was doing it so he could keep his truck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable, because the American dream, Dusty Rhodes, he lived this extravagant life and he kept that for his kids. He didn't want them to ever know. But in reality, they were broke. He was spending a lot of money, behind the scenes. Like, they were comparing it to like athletes, these big NFL stars or whatever. They sign these $1 million contracts and then they're broke, or like MC Hammer, that's from more my generation, but then you find out like he had like heaters in his marble floors in his bathroom, so his feet were warm on the marble floor. Like, what?
It's like, it's the age-old thing. Like, people who don't come from money come into money, and they don't know how to deal with money and
how to manage it. Yeah,
yeah. So, that's why I have no money.
Yes, that's why the three of us. But
I
hey,
did-
man, 90K for the three of us, 30K a piece.
Yeah.
We'll be fine. Trust me, it'll all go towards Wembley. I promise.
Dude.
All 30K.
Yeah.
We'll all go towards Wembley.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's interesting to watch this because it's like, I really hope that someday I can't even imagine having this kind of time in my life, but I hope that someday I can go back to those periods and watch all the Raws, all the Smackdowns, like just, binge through it and like watch what happened with Cody Rhodes. Cause I know we're kind of getting an abbreviated version here, but I love this dashing Cody Rhodes character. That sounded awesome. Like, I don't know, Tex, did you watch during these moments? Like, what's your knowledge level of this stuff?
So I was definitely watching when he first came in, but I did fall off. I think it was during the dashing Cody Rhodes. We had the mask.
Yeah.
Yes. Right.
Yeah, I do remember seeing that, but I don't remember much because he wasn't really that big of a character. He was one of these just mid-carders.
Yeah, just a lower to mid card guy.
Yeah.
And and Colt, you've got to see some footage of Gold Dust. We've been
Yes.
talking about
The
him.
great Gold Dust.
Right. And they didn't really talk about Gold Dust that much, but I was really and that guy's tall too. Gold
he's
Dust is
huge.
insane.
He wrestles under his name Dustin Rhodes now. He wrestles with AEW, so you can see why they didn't talk much about him because he wouldn't have been available
Right.
to interview and stuff like that.
It's a shame they couldn't get him on here.
I gotta blame WWE for that with their actions with that whole Degeneration X thing. I can remind you if you want to know.
I know
I'd
what
like
it
to
is.
know.
So Degeneration X had its 25th anniversary recently. 20th? I can't remember what it was. It's just a few months ago. This year it happened. And they wanted to bring in the 5 original members of Degeneration X, which is Triple H, Shawn Michaels, the Road Dogg Jesse James, the Badass Billy Gunn, and
Wow.
X-Pac. Now, of those 5, 4 of them were easy to get because they are currently on WWE's payroll. One of them, Billy Gunn, works for AEW.
Wow.
And WWE reached out to AEW and said, "Can we have Billy Gunn on your show? Can you let him come on our show to celebrate Degeneration X?" And Tony Khan said, "You know what? Yes, I will. I only have one condition.
Uh-oh.
You have to credit him as an AEW wrestler on his name."
Oh, you're kidding.
And we don't know exactly how it worked. I like to think that Triple H tried to make this a yes, but it went back and forth. Billy Gunn told the story that he was like, over the course of that weekend, it was up until like a couple hours before Raw that he was told it wasn't going to happen. But in the end, WWE said, "No, we will not put AEW's name on our show. And so we will not agree to that."
Wow.
So Tony Khan didn't ask for any money. He didn't ask for anyone to come back and be on his show.
Yeah.
All he asked was to be acknowledged, and the WWE was not willing to do that. So,
Well, who does he think he is? He ain't Roman.
yeah, acknowledge me.
Exactly right. They wanted to be acknowledged.
Yeah,
I have a feeling that wasn't Triple H involvement at all. I don't know, but
I
have
don't
a
know.
feeling.
I will be honest. I often paint a picture in my head that Triple H is fighting the good fight behind the scenes,
Yeah.
but I really don't have a reason to think that.
Yeah.
Other than I'm a fan of his. But,
Right. Another quick thing that just blew my mind was with this Cody Rhodes thing, and this was another thing, is looking at the dates. A lot of this stuff happened last year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
That's what blew my mind.
It happened quick too.
Like this is all pretty fresh, his current situation, because it was February of 2022 that he left AEW.
Mm.
And it was April of 2022 that he surprise appeared at WrestleMania. So,
Wow. Wow. As to fight Seth Rollins at WrestleMania.
They did a whole storyline that Seth Rollins is going to fight a mystery opponent.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. Like, it was so awesome, that moment, because like there was whispers of like, could it be Cody Rhodes? And there's like,
Right.
but it's like, but what are they gonna do? Is it gonna be Stardust? Like, what are they?
Right.
There's no world where Vince McMahon is going to let him take his AEW character
No
and
way.
put it on WWE. That wouldn't happen.
Never.
So to the point that I didn't think it was going to be Cody. Like, and then it goes dark and you hear his voice. Wrestling has more than one royal family, and I mean, if you've got Peacock, you should go watch that match just for the entrance, like the and like just they showed clips of the people's faces, like, oh my god, this is happening,
In shock.
and then they just went and put on like one of the best matches of the night, like just
It was great.
Wow.
yeah.
So was his character, was he the American Nightmare on AEW?
Yeah. And
So he was the
and
same
and that was
character.
his music on AEW.
Amazing.
Like it was
Right.
his character. He invented that character during his independent time.
Got you.
Yeah.
And he mentioned, go ahead, Tex.
No, I was saying he talked about how he took a little bit of all his other characters and he kind of put them all together. He talked about it in the doc, and that's how he came up with the American Nightmare.
And he mentioned too, when he was in New Japan Wrestling, that they mentioned that they were gonna we're gonna call you the American Nightmare or something like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I didn't know that, but he credited New Japan with coming up with the name. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're right, Tex. They had this great, like he did like the cartwheel that he used to do with Stardust, and then he kind of credited his father by doing the like one of those moves, like his dad's move, you know, which was amazing. And the thing about that also that blew my mind, and again, this was like last year, was his torn pectoral muscle.
Oh,
Holy cow, that was unbelievable.
I forgot how bad it really was.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh,
He tore it, and then he didn't just call in a match. He went and put on a top contender for best match of 2022 in the most dangerous match that WWE lets you have, Hell in a Cell. Right? Like,
wow.
Just I mean, that was the moment that I was like, this guy, he's gonna like, and then he went away because everyone saw he was like super injured, and it was basically one of those things like, we've billed this as the headline event of the show. He tore it days before the show, and he just went through with it, and like, what a guy. And then we all understand now he has to go away for an indefinite amount of time to heal up. So of course, when Royal Rumble 2023 rolled around, everyone was like, "Oh, Cody's going to be in it for sure." And then he won the Royal Rumble. So
amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. And that just when I saw him with the muscle tear and he fought through the pain, and I cannot even imagine how much pain he must have been during that match. And I love that he said to the camera, he goes, "Yeah, I've been lying. If I've ever been talking about like, oh no, I'm fine. No, it was the most painful experience in my entire life. Like, it was unbelievable pain. I can't even imagine." But then when I'm watching the audience react, when he takes off his jacket and you see the insane bruising and everyone is just in shock, and they said like there was a gasp across the crowd, seeing him like this, right? And like that just adds to his legacy of you want to talk about tough and grinding it out. Like, he has worked. He has not been handed any of this. And for somebody that came from being the son of the American dream, you think that he would be? This guy grinded it out.
Yeah.
And I just see the audience reacting to him, having the match with Seth Rollins and going off, and the crowd just going crazy, just building to that legacy of his. And now I understand why. When he walks out and that music starts and the crowd goes nuts. And I totally get it. I totally get it now. I see the foundation of the building of this legend. And like I said, I now love Cody Rhodes. My respect for him it's beyond Thunderdome. I can't believe this guy, and knowing what he's gone through in his journey to get where he is, and he deserves to get where he is.
Yeah.
Blew my mind. So, and one other thing I have to say, and I wrote this down to make sure, I now understand more than anything why Cody Rhodes should have won in SummerSlam against Roman Reigns and took the title.
At WrestleMania, you mean?
At WrestleMania. Yes, at WrestleMania.
Of course he should have won. Of course you should. Spoiler, that was the V on the.
Yes, see, exactly. I knew it.
No, that was the V.
I will agree. To make the dog perfect, it would have been the best way to end it.
It would have been the best way. But I also get the WWE, that's not how they roll. And there's a reason that doc came out right now, because they are building him.
Yes.
They want this documentary out in the wild to build the story of him. I'm going to say what they should do and I'm going to just disclaim this, that you never know when WWE is going to do something dumb in the booking department. But this is all about Cody winning the Royal Rumble again, getting to challenge Roman Reigns again, and defeating Roman Reigns in WrestleMania 40 after Roman Reigns has slowly over the course of this year lost all of his help, right? He's lost Jay, he's lost Jimmy, he's going to lose Solo, and in the end he'll be all alone. And what did Cody say the first time he faced up Roman Reigns after WrestleMania? He said, "I had you. If it wasn't for your help, I would be wearing that belt. I had you." And I want and so I want a rematch. And what did Paul Heyman step in and say? "We will never give you a rematch. Ever." Which
Really?
means that the only way that Cody Rhodes can ever challenge Roman Reigns again, unless they change things, is to win the Royal Rumble.
Because you're guaranteed a shot at the title.
Yeah.
If that happens, he has to do it from the number one spot.
He needs to draw number one. You know, it'd be even better than him drawing number one. Paul Heyman should do something, like they should do a storyline where through some dubious means, the bloodline arranges for him to have to go number one.
That's cool too. I don't remember which Royal Rumble it is, but Stone Cold gets beat up before it, and then he comes out stunnering everybody. You do something like that too. Name all the Stone Cold ones.
Yeah, but
so can I ask a quick question? What do you mean he needs to be number one? What do you mean by that?
So in Royal Rumble, there's 30 wrestlers, and they draw from 1 to 30, and number 1 and 2 come in first, and then every 90 seconds another wrestler comes in.
Yes.
So drawing number 1 is the worst possible choice, because that means you have to outlast everybody to win.
Right.
Whereas if you draw number 30, 45 minutes of the match is already gone.
Yes, everyone's tired. Everyone so you're saying he has to draw number one, meaning you want him to last the entire match.
Yeah, which has happened a couple times before. It wouldn't be a first. In fact, it happened last year. Rhea Ripley did it. She drew number 1 and then won the Women's Royal Rumble.
Oh my gosh. You got to be exhausted by the end of that.
Yeah, I know. And she won it. She fought the whole, it was awesome. That was the moment that I was sold on. Last Rumble, if you got an afternoon to spare, you go watch the 2023 Royal Rumble. It'll really connect a lot of things for you because you've been watching now.
Yeah.
So, Cody drew 30. Cody won the Royal Rumble this year, but he came in 30th. And I think everyone sort of, I don't want to speak for everyone, but my feeling on that was because it's his first time back from his surgery. They're going light on him. And the star of the Royal Rumble this year and why everyone loves him was Gunther. Gunther drew number 1 and lasted all the way to the end to him and Cody, and then Cody won the Royal Rumble.
Wow.
So
Gunther.
He basically wrestled the entire Royal Rumble, but he was the last one out.
I could not make it. I would be like a piece of burnt toast by the end of that. I would never be able to make it to the end of, can you imagine? Right? 30. That's insane.
I would love to see a thing they did one year where all 3 announcers at the booth were in the Rumble.
Oh yeah. It was Booker T.
Their names.
You're kidding.
Just kind of a fun surprise. One of them came up "Oh, that's me," and then they got up and they went and wrestled, got eliminated immediately, and came back to the desk. And it happens all. And the last one was at Michael Cole, or Michael Cole was in the Royal Rumble.
Oh my gosh. That's amazing.
Yeah, I would love it for someone like me to I'm in the Royal Rumble. I come in and someone just grabs me and places me on the other side of the rope and then just pushes me down.
Exactly. That big 7-foot tall guy would
Yeah.
just pick you up with one hand and then just drop you off.
By
You
my
know.
head. Like, just
So what is the schedule of when is Royal Rumble? How soon from Royal Rumble until WrestleMania?
I'm glad you brought this up because I think that it might be a fun thing to do before we end the show, to do a little fantasy booking, to talk about how if we all think that Cody Rhodes should be the one to dethrone Roman Reigns, then what should that look like?
Ooh.
And so Royal Rumble happens every January and WrestleMania happens every April.
Oh, okay.
So, but it's late January and early April. It leaves roughly about 2.5 months to build up to build it up. And what they often do is, like, what will happen is if Cody Rhodes wins, he will get to choose whether he wants to challenge for the WWE title, currently held by Roman Reigns, or the heavyweight title, currently held by Seth Rollins. Whichever one he doesn't choose, what they seem to have done lately, the last couple of years, is that opportunity will be up for grabs in a February pay-per-view.
Oh,
And the idea,
so he'll decide in January.
he'll decide probably like the day after the Royal Rumble
Got you.
who he wants to challenge. And of course he's going to challenge Roman Reigns.
Right.
Like, that's the belt that his dad never got, right?
Oh my gosh. Oh, sorry. It just excites me now that I'm seeing the documentary.
Yeah.
Right. Sorry. Go ahead.
So yeah, this is the excitement that was happening earlier this year, and why everybody was like, I mean, my friend who was sitting with me, we were talking about how Cody Rhodes should have won at WrestleMania, and he
Yes.
said, I subscribed to the WWE Network on the second day of WrestleMania because I couldn't not be there for Cody Rhodes to win the title.
But
Right.
here's the problem. Here's a problem.
Amazing.
I'm ready to be the bummer. You miss 8 months of building that main event.
No, I know, because he was injured, right?
Right.
Yeah, not ideal, but still, he will win it this year, and it will be amazing, and it'll be awesome. It won't be as good as it could have been if he won it this year.
I don't know.
You know what? You got to get the photo that's just like his dad, and then he frames it and he puts it right next to the picture of his dad on the mantle, and everybody cries.
I know, and
everybody
then
loses their mind.
Paul Heyman comes up and says, on a technicality, he actually didn't win the belt, and the same thing happens to him.
That's
right.
That has to happen, right? One way or another, that moment has to be recreated.
Oh, right. Like, what if Roman Reigns gets counted out?
Well, I think in these days, everyone knows that that's not a title change, so there wouldn't be a moment of confusion these days if there was a count out.
Yeah, or like he's gonna be counted out. Like, he's gonna be like 7, 8, and then Cody will run out and grab Roman, and then he'll throw Roman back in the ring.
That'd be cool.
To not let it be a count out.
Right. There has to be some kind of
man,
because they do keep bringing it up. This is like the 5th time I've heard that story.
Yeah.
I'm literally kicking my feet under my desk right now. I'm kicking my feet. It's like, I'm so excited. This is unbelievable.
So to get back to your timeline, so I think that the part that's easy to predict is Cody Rhodes winning the Royal Rumble and going on to WrestleMania, because those events are pre-scheduled. In fact, the Royal Rumble is probably going to be announced any day now. The rumor is it's going to be in Orlando. Talking to my wife about that, but that'd be awesome. I've never been to Orlando, and the hard part is predicting what are they going to do with the bloodline until then. And I think that I still think that they might bring Rikishi in, the Usos' dad. Like,
I think so.
He could be an elder at this point or something. But I think he's got I think they're going to shelf it for a while, and I think maybe around Survivor Series, or maybe even at Royal Rumble, maybe at Royal Rumble, Roman Reigns is fighting Solo Sikoa for the title, because he'll defend his title at Royal Rumble, and that'll be his last title defense until WrestleMania. So, yeah, I don't know exactly, but they got to come up with a way. I think the way this works best is that Roman Reigns has nobody left by the time, and maybe they could do a thing at the end. Like, I suppose they could do a thing where he still has Solo, but they could show that Solo's heavily conflicted, because then that would have a cool moment at the actual WrestleMania match where the time comes for Solo to screw over Cody Rhodes and he decides not to. So they could keep it going all the way till then.
I do like your idea, though. The text was talking about Solo being the heel, like Solo being Solo,
Yeah,
so to speak. You know, in
and
WWE,
they could do that, right? Like he could go on a heel run now, and he could. I mean, it's August. He could for 6 months be in the U.S. title scene or something like that, and be an awesome heel. He could have a good feud with. He could do a program with LA Knight. That'd be a good program, like LA Knight and Solo Sikoa for a while. Yeah. And like, there's a lot of things they could do because they really don't have to like wrap up this whole storyline until they don't have to start on it till January, because Cody Rhodes is on Raw and Roman Reigns on SmackDown. Cody Rhodes has no way of challenging Roman Reigns until he wins the Royal Rumble. So
here's one problem I have. You have 6 months. So when Roman's like the final boss, right, in a video game.
yes,
Brock would be the second one. He'd be the one right before the final boss.
No.
Well, Cody already beat him.
Yeah, the Brock program's over.
You have to find there's no bigger boss to build up to Roman.
Yeah, I think that this is kind of like it's not going to be linear. Like I think if I had to predict what they're going to do with Cody Rhodes for the next while, I think he's gonna get into it with the Judgment Day because they're the villains on Raw, and he's
that makes sense. That makes sense.
Like it looks like they're going to do Shinsuke Nakamura turned on Seth Rollins, so they're going to build that up. That'll be Seth's next title defense, which is, I mean, no disrespect, but that's kind of a filler title defense. Like, but there's some smaller pay-per-views coming up. So Cody needs a program, and I feel like the Judgment Day is the way to go. And maybe Damian Priest and Cody Rhodes doing a program would be really cool.
But
he could go. He's already fought Dom, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he could do a Finn Balor fight, and he could do a Damian Priest fight. He could also do. It seems like the Judgment Day is going to shake up. It seems like Finn Balor is going to leave, and maybe someone else will join. We'll see. But yeah, I don't know what else he can do because I can't think of any big villains on that.
Can we talk about the best part of the documentary? I finally saw Randy Orton. It's been too long.
Oh, right. So that was him.
Yeah.
That's right. That was him.
Yeah.
I thought he was great.
Well, no one's denying. Randy Orton's great. He's just got a bad back. He's
right.
He's carrying his company for so many years.
Yeah.
I love this documentary so much, man. It just, as an outside observer that hasn't watched, it just gave me so much more respect. I mean, obviously I'm watching it now much older, than I was obviously when I was a kid. And now you respect them more, like, wow, they're really out there. Like, look, they're sweating, they're bloodied. Like, they're really like, these are some athletes. But then when you watch this documentary, you learn the backstory and the struggle and the grind. And they were also talking about the mental health of being a wrestler, of that confidence of being out there in front of an audience of people screaming and going crazy. It's just, it gives me so much more respect for this position, this job. You have to be so on point, an incredible entertainer, both inside and out. And it just blew my mind what these guys go through. And especially with Cody Rhodes, I had no idea the amount of work that he's put in. And I get why he's the ultimate babyface. And I'm cheering for him too.
Yeah.
Blown away.
I do have 2 complaints about the doc. First one is that they didn't. He took a lot of shots at WWE and AEW. I wish they would have mentioned those at least. I know they couldn't show.
Yeah, I did think of, and I it's hard for me to complain about it because I think they just can't. They just can't.
And the other complaint I would have is, Cody, just tell us why you left AEW.
That's what. Yeah. I don't buy what he said.
The personal issue?
Yeah.
He said there was a personal issue.
He said it wasn't about money and it wasn't about any of the other talents. I think it was about the other talents.
So what is the rumor? What is the rumor of why he left?
he wanted to be the star of AEW, and he wasn't getting over. And then CM Punk came along, and CM Punk was the star of AEW.
Right.
And at the time that he left AEW, none of this CM Punk drama had started. So the whole world was rejoicing that CM Punk was wrestling again.
Yes. But also AEW did not renew his contract, right? At least that's what they said in the doc.
No, he didn't. As I understand it, AEW would have loved to renew his contract. He was wrestling without a contract for several weeks.
His wife said, "How do you let your biggest star lose their contract?" As in calling out Tony Khan that you let him wrestle without a contract.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Why would they do that? That's the only thing that makes me think it wasn't all Cody's decision, because why are they letting his contract go expire?
Rumors that traveled around at that time, and they're just rumors, were that he wanted to be paid what CM Punk was being paid, which would mean it is about money, and he wanted to, like, I don't know, it's kind of weird because one of the first things he did in the storyline of his time in AEW is he challenged for the world title. He very early on, he challenged Chris Jericho for the world title, and there's a stipulation that he said, if I lose this match, I will never challenge for the AEW title again. And it was kind of a beautiful thing because everyone kind of knows, well, that means, oh, you're going to win.
Right.
But he lost.
But he lost to Jericho. Well, Jericho's a wizard.
He got screwed over by his young protege who he thought was his friend, but turned out was evil all along. Maxwell Jacob Friedman.
The Sausage King of Chicago?
It was
Who?
Dude, this moment was so great. Cody Rhodes is wrestling and it's going bad, and Maxwell Jacob Friedman's in his corner, and MJF throws in the towel. So Cody Rhodes didn't even lose the match. MJF threw in the towel and they called it. And Chris Jericho won. And Cody Rhodes couldn't believe it. He was like, "What are you doing? What? I can't challenge. Why would you throw in the towel?" And MJF's like, "I'm sorry. You just looked like you were. I'm sorry." You can't quite see what they're saying because they're not on the mic.
Yeah.
And they're like, and Cody Rhodes is so upset. And finally, he's like, "Okay." He turns to MJF and he's like, "All right, bring it in," you know. And then MJF knees him in the balls. And,
oh, you're kidding.
And he falls down, and MJF turns to the camera with his evil smile. It's so great.
You're kidding.
That's when MJF became the character that we know today.
That's amazing. And did he hold it when the balls?
No, this isn't WWE. It was
True. He didn't hold it for 5 minutes to make sure it was on camera.
Give it a half second, and then you let go. And outside of WWE, in WWE, it's a good 30 seconds.
At least. It's almost as long as Roman Reigns' entrance. That's where you hold the right. That's amazing. Oh, super exciting. But just love the documentary again. Just fantastic. So Tex, you're a big thumbs up on this one. You liked it?
Yeah, I really liked it. Like I said, those two complaints are just itty bitty little things.
Yeah. It is, but it is true that like they totally gloss over. Like Cody Rhodes talked a lot about, like, it was the obvious choice to come back to WWE, easiest choice in the world. Like, so happy, this is my home. I mean, Cody Rhodes is a good actor, and I gotta say, like, this isn't like me poo-pooing on what he said. I think he was doing the right thing for the documentary and for his character and for his career. But if you would have seen the hate that he put out against WWE during his time in AEW, it's very glossed. Like, to Tex's point, like, he was a mouthpiece against WWE during his time in AEW. So
really,
it's not as clean cut as they presented it.
Right. Well, but consider what he was going through with the Stardust stuff. Go ahead, Tex.
Yeah.
No. It's about something else. Keep going. Sorry.
Which does give me hope that maybe one day Cody could come back to AEW.
It ain't happening.
I know, but I would love it.
Did you notice the animosity with, like, whenever we talk about Dusty's kids? I really don't think he likes them.
He was upset at that.
Yeah, and I think he had an interesting moment of clarity where he kind of There's one moment where he's like holding himself accountable for it, like kind of like acknowledging that he resented them and that he shouldn't, but that he
Yeah.
does, you know?
Yeah.
And it seemed like even Seth, like, until later in the dog when he talks, like, oh, Seth doesn't like him either that much. There's some kind of competitive nature there.
Yeah. No, I agree. I felt that too.
Yeah.
And also too, you got to remember that Cody was going through a lot of like, well, I'm his kid. Like he
Yeah.
was dealing with all of that stuff. Imagine mentally,
Yeah.
trying to step out of his shadow, and then this is Cody's
Oh.
kids, and meanwhile he's being Stardust and hating it. And
You would have loved the build up to WrestleMania 39, Colt. When Roman Reigns and
Oh.
Cody Rhodes were talking, like
Yeah.
Roman Reigns did this awesome promo talking to Cody Rhodes. He's like, your dad trained me.
Oh, jeez.
It's
Oh
like,
my gosh.
Your dad trained me, and we talked a lot. We got close. We talked.
Oh,
We
gosh,
talked about
you're
all sorts of
kidding.
things. We talked about his career. We talked about my career. We talked about wrestling. Tell you what, though, he never talked about you.
Oh,
It was so good.
Oh, no way.
The buildup was it was so perfect.
The
Oh,
promos were
It was
on fire.
months of amazing promos building up to that moment.
even
Oh.
him when he went and told Paul Heyman, "Thank you for everything you did for my father," and Paul Heyman just threw it all in the trash. Said, "You're not good enough." Oh, so good.
Yeah,
Oh.
like Cody Rhodes, when he first won the Royal Rumble, he came to challenge Roman Reigns in good faith, like saying, like, you're the best, like I'm challenging the best, and like much respect. And they were just taking a dump on him. It was so good.
Wow. Amazing. What a journey he's had. What an amazing journey. You know what I mean? To get him to where he is today.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Could you ever see him going heel?
Cody, I think so. I think that he wouldn't want to. I don't think he likes being a heel, but he said in the documentary he enjoyed being a heel as Dash and Cody Rhodes. But I think that as long as he's the American Nightmare, unless things go really south, they're gonna ride this persona to the end of his career, and he's probably got 10 good years left. And longer than that, but he's probably got 10 more years that he could be at the top of the card, right? Like, he's got a long time.
Well, another thing that they talked about is that his father, Dusty Rhodes, was like the everyman's man. Like he could party with the elite, so to speak, but then also be like an everyday guy.
Yeah.
And for me, what I saw with Cody Rhodes was he's obviously Cody Rhodes, the superstar, but also he left WWE and grinded it out like an everyday guy, making $25-50 a match. He's just like, the rest of us, grinding it out every day, doing the work, putting in the work. I think he's earned that same kind of respect, that same kind of title that his dad did. He's not just a superstar, but it showed me that he's a real guy that grinded it out, that he's just like the rest of us, the common man that wasn't given a silver spoon in his mouth, that he's kind of achieved that another part of his father's legacy.
Yeah.
In that the common man that has to grind it out and do the job and put in the work, every single day. So yeah, huge respect.
Yeah.
Interesting. Just something I thought of.
Yeah, man. All right. Well, I think it's about time for us to wrap it up. I love the guy. And I think I said this last week when we were saying we were going to do this. I'm normally a heels guy. I like to cheer for the heels.
Yeah.
I like the heels. I love Cody Rhodes. And even in AEW, when things weren't going his way, I was never on the angle of like, I was never poo-pooing on the guys. I was feeling bad that things weren't going the way he wanted them to go there. Even though I felt like I could see why they weren't going that way. Like I was definitely like, just turn heel, dude. Like that's what you got to do. But yeah, I'm an AEW fan, but I'm really glad that he landed in WWE and that it's working out very well for him. And I hope he wins the title next year and that he holds it he has a good run with it too. So
looks like WWE was playing the long game. with old Cody
Well,
Rhodes.
the
in
too
title.
long game they're playing, but
Right. But it makes that victory that much sweeter, though, right? It's earned. It's a long game.
it
It's
might be
earned.
hopefully not a little stale by then. But
Right. True.
I mean, they really got to figure out what they're going to do with these characters for the next 6 months. So
true.
but
It's a long time.
Yeah, Tex, any final thoughts?
No, like you said, I liked it. Look, I'm a man
Classic
of few
Tex.
words.
Yeah, still waters run deep. All right. Well, all right. Well, this has been fun, guys. It's not. It was definitely talking about Cody Rhodes was handed to us on a silver platter with this doc. It might not be as easy the next time we try this, but it was really fun to just pick a wrestler and talk about them. And so hopefully do it again. So, Colt, I can't remember. Are you here next week?
I'm here next week, and then I'll be in Scotland the week after that because I'm meeting up with
Seamus?
Seamus.
Oh, no, he's
I'm going to be
Irish,
on
I
the
think.
Celtic Warrior workouts.
Yeah.
Right. He wants to know my bicep, workout, and I get it. I mean, I got the 17-inch pythons over here, so I get it. Yeah. So I'm going to show him my routine, my workout, all that stuff. Should be great.
So, so Colt's going to be away, but he's going to be here next time. And I think the plan is, and I will tweet out if this changes, but I think what we're going to do, just for fun, we've got All In at Wembley coming up, and we just had SummerSlam. Let's, for fun next week, let's take a dip way back to when little Coltrane used to watch wrestling, and let's watch when WWF at the time did SummerSlam at Wembley Stadium. So we're going to watch SummerSlam 1992, and we're going to talk about it next week. And there is one iconic match that I can remember, and I know who won, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but I actually have no recollection of the rest of the card. So it's going to be a fun one to dip into. So yeah, watch it. And then beyond that, Colt's away, so it'll probably be just Tex and I, but I've got a few friends that have been pining to do a guest spot on the show, and we might bring some of them in. So if you are one of those friends, maybe remind me. But we'll figure that out as we go. But
I'll try and bring back a signed sword from McIntyre.
Oh, sure,
That's so cool.
Yes, I'll bring the signed sword back. I don't know how I'm going to get it through customs, but I'll find a way. You can bring that on a plane, right? That's no big deal, right?
Yeah, why not?
I got 2 weeks. I got plenty of time to figure it out.
I think as long as it's sheathed.
Yeah, it should be fine. Should be fine.
Okay, all right.
We'll carry on.
One problem: SummerSlam '92. I was 3 months old. So
Well, I mean, I'm super interested to get the perspective of someone that wasn't around for that era, because Coltrane and I are both of an age where, all these wrestlers were household names, even to people that didn't watch wrestling in the 80s and 90s. So, and that hasn't really been a thing in a long time.
Yeah.
Like, I think if you ask your average person on the street if they know who Roman Reigns is, they probably don't know. But everybody knew who Bret the Hitman Hart was in the 90s, right? And he wasn't even the biggest star. So,
and also don't mention how old. I mean, we were probably 6 months old compared to Tex 3 months. I mean, we about the same age as Tex, right?
Yeah.
Of course, naturally.
Yeah, we're just dyeing frosty tips into our hair.
Yeah, it's really. What do you think? Right? Gotta die here.
It could be a lot worse.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks everybody for coming in. Thanks for joining us. Chat's been rocking while we've been talking. So come join us for our pre-show and our post-show if you want to learn more about why we make fun of Tex's hair. Can't say it on air. But other than that, we'll if you want to email us, you can email wrestlinglosers@gmail.com. You can tweet me or X me at the Shoeboots. And we'll respond to any of those things as best we can. But that's going to do it for me, for Colt, and for Tex. Later, losers.